Overtime?
Just taking its toll on them.
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the February 1st City Council meeting. Call this meeting to order. If you'll please stand and join me by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Hewlin,
Here.
Parker,
Present?
Kling,
Here?
Schroeder.
She's logging in right now. She's connecting the audio.
Okay. Southall,
Here on Zoom.
Marchant,
Present.
Gwen is on.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Present.
and Mayor Pepper.
Present. So just for those folks that don't see or can't see, Greg, Gwen, Guerra, Heather, and our city attorney, Doug Fulton, are all online, but they are with us this evening. Hi, team. All right, let's start with open forum. We have somebody that has submitted a public comment form. If there's anybody else that would like to speak tonight about something that's not on the agenda, please don't forget to fill out a form. But until that point, we will ask Michelle Steen if she wants to come forward.
Hello, I'm Michelle Steen. I live at 610 East Scenic Valley Avenue here in Indianola. I just had a suggestion for the mailboxes when Buxton is a two-way street. So I just kind of drew up a sketch for that. Some of these are just comments that I think people in town would want to, have addressed, and I know they are, but I'm just going to say them. The scooters, we need to know what kind of traffic laws will need to be in place, how it'll affect the police, what kind of insurance would be necessary for the city. Does the city get a portion of the money from renting those? I don't know, just some questions about that. And then as the city council is discussing changes for the buildings, because I know there's a lot of safety and space issues here with these now, but just to consider if the time comes that the Justice Center becomes too small for the county's needs, it's landlocked there. If they do ever have to move somewhere else, just to consider how that could maybe be a trade, the property be traded with the county and the city. So that's just it. I just had some thoughts and wanted to share them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Seeing nobody else wanting to speak, I'll move on. Consent agenda is next. So is there a motion to approve all our items under consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay. Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Jackie. All right, on to our next one. Council reports. First one is consideration of the appointment of Jim Lindsley to serve on the Fine Arts and Beautification Commission for a term beginning immediately and ending on July 1st, 2023.
I
I
move to
move to
approve.
appoint Jim Lindsay to serve on the Fine Arts and Beautification Commission.
Second.
Okay, move in second. That can be, that's not a roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Welcome, Jim. We're glad to have you on board. I'm sure you'll be getting some information on the next meeting here in the very near future. Mayor's report, just a couple of things I want to share with you. Just a reminder, our next council meeting is moving from Monday, February 15th. That's a holiday for some folks. So we'll be gathering on Tuesday, the 16th. We'll have both of our meetings, City Council and Council Study. So don't forget to join us on Tuesday, February 16th. Also, just want to say Thursday is the annual Chamber Lunch and Awards. So looking forward to attending that with some of my colleagues around the table. And congratulations, I know some folks are being announced on their award winnings. So congrats to all of those folks. It's always a nice time to recognize some outstanding individuals in our community. The Civil and Human Rights Commission will be meeting next week. Looking forward to gathering with those folks to see where we can go and what we can do. Thanks to Councilwoman Greta Southall for helping to lead that effort. Very exciting. And then just a shout out to Country Financial. If you didn't see it, they made a $5,600 gift for safety equipment for our police department, which is a wonderful thing. So we want to say thank you very much. I know our police staff is very pleased to always have those kind of things happen. So that's what I've got for you this week. We'll move into public consideration, old business. First one is a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the City of Indianola and Warren County for temporary storm sewer repair work within the square. And here comes Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Hi. Get this projector to warm up here real quick. There we go. All right, apologize for that. As the council recall, first meeting in December, we discussed this issue that the city staff last summer kind of identified on what would be the west side of the square, on the west side of the new courthouse facility. There is a storm sewer pipe under there that is failing and is not properly getting the storm water in and around the square out of the system. So county did propose to council to participate in a cost share on that. The memorandum of understanding that's in front of you tonight is just memorializing kind of what the direction that council gave us at that meeting. So you can see on the screen here kind of an older photo, aerial photo, but the area that they're proposing to kind of get into the street would be in this area right here. To do that, they are proposing to start work on Monday, February 15th. Anticipating that it could take up to 2 weeks. Hopefully it will be sooner, but they are asking for at least 2 weeks on that. So
Which street is that, Sharon?
this is Buxton right
Oh,
here.
Buxton.
Yep. Salem right here. Sorry, I should point it out. Salem right here, Buxton right here. So this would be kind of where, this is the brick house patio right there, if that helps out. So anyways, any questions on that? I'd be happy to answer them. The county is considering this at their meeting, I believe tomorrow morning is when they meet. So they'll be considering their end of this agreement at that meeting.
That's great. Thank you. Questions for Charlie, anyone? If not,
Thank you.
thanks, Charlie. I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next one is a public hearing on an application for a state revolving fund loan. So why don't we open? I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to approve the opening of a public hearing.
Second.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Let's start our public hearing. Andy's got some information for us.
That has to do with the next item. Okay, our public hearing, we have both Joe Frankel and from HR Green and Mike Maloney from A. Davidson on the Zoom call to answer any questions that you might have. We have to have a public hearing for the next phase of the SRF loan. The SRF loan, as we call it, for the Water Resource Recovery Facility. We have two revenue notes and then a GEO bond. We've already done last year. We did the first revenue note. Now we're doing the second one for roughly, I want to say between 16 and 17 million. And then we'll do another one that's the GEO fund next year, which will be the last one. And that will be the one that's repaid with using the local office of sales tax funds. The current one that will be effectuating with the Iowa Finance Authority is paid with sewer revenue, sanitary sewer revenue. And that will be going to the board next month. Anything that you would like to add, Joe or Mike?
Good evening, Andy and Mayor and Council. This is Joe Frankel with HR Green. Not much to add. Just one of the things in the packet is this environmental information document, and that kind of covers the environmental review that was required as part of this SRF project. So the DNR worked through that and worked with a bunch of the other agencies like the Corps of Engineers. As soon as this public hearing is concluded and that gets signed, then they can issue their finding of no significant impact. And that all needs to be done before the project can move forward. So again, when they did this, they did not find any negative impacts, and that's all summarized in that environmental information document. So any other questions about the environmental review, I'd be happy to try to help answer.
Questions from council? Anybody have a question on this? We're also in a public hearing, so anybody from the public want to speak about this? Oh, yes, they can call. That's correct. Thank you, Amy, for pointing that out. All right. Then are we ready to close the public hearing?
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay. Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. The next is a pre-levy authorization for 2021 GEO bond series.
So we are asking the council to consider doing a pre-authorization for the bond note that's going to be coming up during the next fiscal year. It's going to be for work for Hillcrest and for K Street improvements, and also a $500,000 contingency for the streetscape project if we need it. So we're asking the council to consider it now so that we can add it into the budget It's not, we're not fully going forward with the loan yet, but it's a pre-levy, so we can levy for it during the FY 22 budget year. Even though we're not fully going forward, issuing all the documents and everything, issuing the bonds yet. We'll be doing that during the fiscal year.
So we just need a motion to approve that?
You need to open the public hearing.
We do? Okay. Sorry, then let's open the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move to open a public hearing.
Second.
Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are in a public hearing. Is there anybody else other than Andy? And if you have more, Andy, that's great, that wants to talk about the 2021 GO bond series?
We do have Mike Maloney from DA Davidson on the Zoom call. Mike, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, Andy, I think you did a great job summarizing it as just a preliminary step here that aligns with the budget process. This is very much consistent with the guidance that Allers provides as your bond counsel for other communities in similar circumstances. I would just add both this and the last item are consistent with what we've discussed with council over a year plus now, at least on this item, and several years obviously on the treatment plant. So just more steps along the path that we've already plotted a course for.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else like to chat about this? If not, we need to close the public hearing.
Move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Jackie, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And then we need to open a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of capital loan notes.
That's what we
Nope,
just did.
that's.
Oh, I'm
next-
jumping. I'm
next item.
sorry, I'm jumping here. So sorry. Then about resolution authorizing the issuance of 6,755,000 general obligation capital loan note series 2021 and levying a tax for the payment thereof. No?
No, missed
Sure.
one.
8A3B.
I'm sorry, I'm just missing it. Resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed $7,500,000 general obligation capital loan notes.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Jackie, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Sorry, council. All right, how about resolution now authorizing the issuance of 6,755,000 general obligation capital loan notes series 2021 and levying a tax for the payment thereof.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay. Jackie, please.
Councilmember Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate it. Next one is resolution adopting the 2021 City of Indianola supplement to the statewide urban design and specifications. That's called SUDAS. I think AP is going to chat about this. Ryan?
So we have a slide we've obviously presented to council back in, I think it was December. Got direction. We worked on the supplement. Today we got a call from a local business in town that had asked that they were looking through the supplement. So rather than asking you to consider it, we're going to ask that you postpone it. That will just allow them extra time to go through and just allow us to have any sort of additional dialogue or opportunity to just talk to the local business about what our steps are.
Do we need to officially table it then, or?
Just a motion to postpone.
Okay.
To February 16th?
To February 16th, yeah.
I move that we postpone the resolution adopting the 2021 City of Indianola supplemental to the statewide urban design and specifications to February 16th.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, perfect. Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I think that's a great decision, council. Give our business peers a chance to look it over, get a good sense, ask some questions, and I know our city staff will happily help them. All right, new business. Resolution approving a one-year farm lease with MZ Grain LLC for the city farm site.
I
Rick,
move to approve the one-year farm lease with MZ Grain LLC.
Second.
Second.
Rick, are you joining us? Anything you want to add to that, or anybody have a question about that? Brian's put up a slide.
Yes, I'm here if you have any questions about the land.
Highlighted on the map right now is the land that we're talking about.
It's just it's 190 acres and it's the area that's outlined in green.
Perfect. Council, any questions?
Oh, I guess I do have one question. Do we anticipate, once the facility is done, that we will continue to operate or lease this ground for farm ground, or is that something that we will discontinue?
Rick?
We'll continue to lease it out.
Okay.
I'm only doing a one-year lease this year because of the outfall sewer going to the middle of the north part.
Okay.
I want to make sure the construction gets all done before we get too carried away, too long year lease on it.
Okay, perfect.
Rick, it's Gwen Schroeder. Do you have the price per acre on that?
Not right offhand. So it'll be 190 divided by the 28,000.
190 acres? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Other questions for Rick or staff or anybody?
Rick, is it getting exciting out there with all the activity?
Yes, it is. Can't wait.
Neither can we. We're excited. All right, Jackie, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Klings,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Resolution appointing the City of Indianola representation to the Warren County Joint 911 Service Board. I think you had in your packet who those folks will be. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any comment on that? Questions? Jackie, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Klings,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is City Manager's Report. Brian Waller.
The first item, I'll turn it over to Andy, our CFO, discussion and direction regarding civic funding and stormwater fees.
Okay, the first slide you've seen a few times, the request that we received for the civic funding for the FY22 budget. As you recall, we're anticipating that our hotel motel tax will return to normal once everybody gets vaccinated and everybody gets out to traveling again. So our normal ticket on revenue from the hotel motel tax revenue is $150,000. $25,000 is slated for Parks and Rec, and then Bravo and CBB gets 2 cents each from that, and remaining is just slightly under 40,000. And then you'll see the request that we received, and then the 2 new ones were from the Heel House and also for that.
I guess I would like to postpone this and making a decision. Hopefully, if it doesn't cause any problems with the budget process, but until the next meeting, I'm still digging around and talking to people and trying to figure out kind of how my approach is to it. And there's a couple other council members I would like to discuss things with as well, get some feedback, and then some of the people that are on that list. So I don't know if we have to do official action on that, or if that's something we can maybe there's not any other support other than myself, I guess.
Oh, I don't mind.
I would support that.
So are we looking to postpone or to table?
This is just discussion and direction, so there's no formal. I mean,
Has to happen.
so,
Okay.
I mean, we can.
Okay.
Do you, I mean, we can just bring this back if that's the consensus.
I mean, it doesn't screw up.
No, since it's not based on property tax, it does not mess up anything as far as the process, because we do have the maximum property tax dollars hearing coming up. That's already had a notice, but this is not related to property tax. So,
Okay. Okay, all right.
Thank you for that clarification. That's very good to know. Council members, anybody else have anything they want to say in regards to
Uh,
civic funding?
Well, I just want to mention, most people probably know this, but not everybody, because I've had somebody say, well, how come we're giving any money to these organizations? And once again, we need to point out that this is money from the hotel motel tax. And unless Indianola residents are staying in a hotel motel here in Indianola, that tax money is coming from visitors. So it's not coming out of our, their regular taxes. So I think that's important for people to understand.
Absolutely. Good point of clarification. Gwen, was that you that also had a thought or a comment?
It was Greta, actually, and I was going to ask if possible. I think both with our community survey, we did a similar exercise, and then last year we had something sort of like a ranking exercise. Is it possible, without doing too much additional work, that we could have something like that again this year, so we can each sort of rank and plug in the amounts that we have to work with, and then see where we stack up?
Yeah, I could just change up the survey form that I had last year.
That would be awesome if you wouldn't mind doing that.
I would appreciate that also. Thank you. Yeah.
Great suggestions. Good. Any other comments, direction you want to give to our team? Okay. How about, so John, I think you mentioned civic funding requests. Are you thinking you want to also postpone stormwater fees, or do you want to talk about that?
I'm ready to talk about that.
You are?
I am, I'm fine.
Okay.
I don't know anybody else.
Everybody else okay about talking about stormwater fees then?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Andy, give us an overview.
Okay, the similar slide that I was showing to the council previously. Snyder had done an evaluation of our system and the current funding with the items that they brought forward. It'll take 28 years to complete with the current CIP program with the $2 per month for ERU. At $5, it'll take 11 years, $9, 9 years. You see, we take in right now just slightly around 200,000, a little bit more than 200,000. Yearly admin and maintenance costs in order to do some of the things that they're recommending through their evaluation, that we do GIS of the intakes and everything, evaluation. Admin costs and maintenance would be about 100,000, 150,000. And then you see the major projects that we have coming up, and you'll notice, that's 200,000 is not going to be nearly enough to cover some of those, or all of those costs that we have coming up that need to be addressed. So
the question is, what do we want to set that rate to be?
Correct.
That's great. Thank you.
Right.
And then there's been some comparison. I think we've all seen some comparison with our other cities. We are well below our neighboring towns.
right, and our peer average are in the 85% tile for the statewide average is right around the $5-6 range.
Not that we're in competition, but it gives you some perspective, council. Council thoughts, ideas, questions?
Well, we have infrastructure that's hidden, that we don't know anything about, just like what's going on in the square and the cost that that's going to be. So I really do. My feeling is that we need to move to the $6 range and strict. Everything's going to get more expensive to fix. We don't know what other problems are out there, and we're not. That's not asking that much to accomplish as much as we're going to get. I mean, 20 years would be ridiculous. So 9 years sounds a little bit better to me. I would just soon try and take care of the problem as quickly as possible before it gets worse.
And more expensive.
And more expensive. Yeah.
I would agree with that, Bob. I think that people are frustrated with how everything has come together at one time, where we've realized that there's a lot of maintenance to catch up on. And I think people time and time again have expressed concern and frustration about that, to me at least. So I think it's a good idea to go with the $6. I think it's a reasonable amount, and I think that's a reasonable number of years to handle it in.
I would agree. This is another can that has been kicked down the road for years, and there's no sense continuing to kick it down the road. So let's, it's a $4 a month change. I think we can probably manage that.
Other thoughts, Ryan? Did you-
Yeah, I was just gonna highlight the importance of this. I mean, certainly infrastructure is important. Kudos to our team. I mean, the last 5 years, we've really put an emphasis on maintenance and planning. The studies that were recently completed are gonna help us be much better at that. But, you know, as AP and Rick were beginning work on kind of the prep work that needs to be done for some of the upcoming projects in our CIP. One example is the West Detroit E up there. As part of our budget process, as part of the CIP, was identified for $65,000. This is a smaller project. We knew about it. It was something that Snyder helped us identify. And then as we were doing our prep work to begin the process to go ahead and get that ready to bid out, and it was discovered that there's other pipes that feed off of there. And so now we've got to do some additional digging, no pun intended, but that cost is going to be $65,000. Now it's because of some of these other things that were found as part of that. And we're looking at $300,000 to maybe $400,000. So the infrastructure and the cost of infrastructure is really important. And we talked about the importance of the studies that we recently completed and knowing the condition of our infrastructure and why we're doing the things that we've been doing. So we can plan, we can execute that plan, and we can take care of this vital infrastructure. So that's just an example of the funding. So the 28 years to complete the CIP at the current funding level, that's a estimate. That gets, you know, once we open up the ground and we start investigating even further, it could be a lot longer than that. So it's very important data that you don't normally see or hear about.
So true. Thank you to the city staff for their work on this. This is very helpful. Other comments, other thoughts we want to share, council?
Mayor, I have another comment I want to make. I agree. I support the comments that were previously said. I feel it's a responsible response to the issues that we are seeing. So I also support doing that.
Thanks, Heather. Okay. Staff, do you feel like you got enough direction there? Yeah, good.
$6.
$6. Sounds like $6 is the number. Perfect. Thank you, Andy. And then, right, I think Charlie's next presentation regarding the rental inspection program.
Yeah, really quick, just wanted to go over the rental inspection program. I know, and Andy, if you have a presentation that Andy has given, he's mentioned this, so just kind of wanted to give council some background on why this is being looked at and the reasons for that. So section 364.17 of Iowa Code, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit of the code. It does say the city which reaches a population of 15,000 has 6 months to adopt a housing code. You might wonder, yeah, we've been over 15,000 for a while. The way that it's interpreted through our legal staff is it's based off your census count. Our last census count in 2010 was 14,782. So we were just below that threshold. Last population estimate we got from 2019 was just over 16,000. When the new census comes out here in hopefully a few months, I think we'd anticipate that we're going to be well over 16,000 on that population. So some dates up here. April 1st, that's always kind of a key census date. Typically when the Census Bureau does deliver redistricting counts to the states. I know there's been a lot of talk with the census this year that might be delayed a little bit, but realistically, that is that date when we do receive that information by code that we have 6 months to then get a rental inspection program in place. So because of that, and just anticipating that we will be over that 15,000 threshold with the next census, we are saying that, you know, will be required by state codes, a state mandate that we will have to have a rental inspection program on the books. So that's a portion of the reason that we're looking at staffing and what's going to be necessary to implement a program like that. So just kind of want to make sure council had the background on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on the program.
Will there be a PR of some sort? Because I have an anticipation there'll be a lot of landlords who need a little little leeway time.
Yes, yes. Ryan, if you want to add anything, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of public hearings, public meetings that we'll have to have as part of this process. So
we will need to establish a code and regulations around this. So I know Charlie's already begun some of the groundwork on that. So just trying to prep and be ready. So
Council, other questions, thoughts, comments?
So that's 6 months from April 1st, is that?
Whenever we get the official count from the census, which typically should be April 1st, it would be 6 months from then by state code.
Okay.
Again, we've started, as Ryan mentioned, we've started a lot of legwork already on that. A lot of examples out there of what codes look like and how we can implement those. So I've got a lot of ideas on that.
Okay.
We've looked at fee structures and stuff like that already. So I do want to say, I think we're well ahead of that game. It's just from that point then doing the public meetings and all of that. So yeah, you're looking like around October 1st that we'd probably need it by code, but I think honestly, we'd probably be ready well ahead of that date then.
And Charlie, can you just give us a little background on rental inspections? So if I owned an apartment building with 6 apartments, that is just the building as a whole, you come in once, inspect it, and we'd be done? Or is it every time I get a new tenant, they would be in?
So you can do it many ways. A lot of cities do it different ways. A lot of cities will do it as a tenant moves in, you do the inspection. Some city will do it, okay, we do it every 2 years, 3 years, whatever that may be. A lot of the cities that we've talked to do it on kind of a calendar basis. So most of them are about every 2 years that they require an inspection of some sort. So kind of getting into what I envision it as being would be there'd be some sort of rental certificate that a landlord would have to get prior to them getting that certificate. They would have to get all of their units inspected before we would actually give them their rental certificate. The way state code reads, there's a few things that can affect that. First of all, if you get a complaint from a tenant, then that could affect it because we would then have to go out and inspect that complaint based off what state code says. The other thing would be, and sorry, I just lost my train of thought on it. Well, anyway, so yeah, every 2 years we go through and do it. Council, as part of your adoption of the ordinance, would have the ability to pick and choose what items you want our inspection staff to look at. Obviously, we'll give you recommendations on that along the way, but a lot of that stuff is kind of determined by the ordinance. So, but yeah, we've looked at all of that, kind of determined what fees need to be to help pay for the position and all of that. But I would envision it being probably about every 2 years based off what a lot of the other communities do. So,
Charlie, this is any rental property, isn't it? It's not just duplexes, apartments, it's houses that are rental properties as well.
Yep, all residential. So not commercial or industrial, anything like that, but all residential.
So once we've implemented this, is it as people move in and move out, we do it the first time, or do we have to go cross and do the baseline first?
Yep.
Inspection with these.
So that's probably going to be one of the biggest challenges we're going to have, because we estimate that there's probably about 2,200 rentals in the city, and we don't want to do all 2,200 in the first month. We need to figure out how we're going to spread that over a 2-year period if we're going to do them every 2 years, because we need to be able to manage our work capacity on that. So just talking about it right now is giving me chills because I'm scared to death of it, but we'll figure it out. It's not going to be, hopefully it won't be too difficult and we'll come up with a method to do that. But yeah, it's going to be, again, we'll start it somehow, figure out who goes first. And then every month we bring in another set of them. And then from there, it's every 2 years after that.
Okay.
Thank you. I know this is very preliminary, but at
Yeah,
least
right.
it gets people thinking and have a better understanding of what's coming.
And part of the reason why we wanted to do this is Andy's presentation for the budget has talked about the main drivers. It's the fire personnel, and this rental inspection program. Now, we've had conversations, it's been brought up since I started 5 years ago, that once we hit 15,000, we're going to have to do this. So I know there's been a lot of discussion, but it's in the budget. It's a budget proposal because we are mandated by the state. So we don't have control over that. And certainly we've talked about the staffing studies with police and fire over the last several years. So now it's just the fire is the other main driver of the budget this year, and that's completing that phase in plan. So we were fortunate, as Andy shared in the last budget presentation, we were fortunate that we've had a lot of growth. We've had close to $200 million of added growth over the last 5 years. And then good budget management is allowing us to do what we're doing this year as part of our budget process. So.
Thank you, staff, for thinking ahead, working ahead.
Charlie. Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. Earlier, your voice dropped when you said something would be determined by that. And maybe you can't recall what you're talking about. It was before John commented, and you were talking about things that would be determined by, and I couldn't hear that, your voice.
Yeah, I think what it was is, so when we're building this ordinance, this rental ordinance that the city will eventually have to adopt, we're able to then determine what elements that our staff would be required to look at upon inspection. You know, whether it's mold issues, electrical issues, heating and cooling, obviously, stuff like that's gonna have to be on there because those are typical life safety things. But, you know, adding other things on there as we go along through public feedback and whatnot, and then any council input that we get would be important. But yeah, that would be determined by whatever the ordinance states.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Any other
Do
comments?
you anticipate this being, that's all this person will do, or will there be picking up other duties? I suppose until you really get into the flow of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that goes into it, but we've kind of taken a look at, you know, estimating about how much time a person would have and about how much time it would take. There's going to be a little bit of leftover time that I think will be there for that position. Our proposal then would be to look into adding a little bit more responsibility on code enforcement. I don't want to get too far into, but right now we have a building official who does building inspections plus zoning enforcement. As our permit numbers continue to go up, he's doing more inspection stuff, less on the zoning enforcement side, just because there's not the time there to do the zoning. So looking to hopefully offset some of that and put some of the responsibilities and kind of shift it around between positions and get the full force out of that again. That we can get.
And it's not just the zoning enforcement, it's the property maintenance as well. So we get a lot, we get a lot of calls. I mean, we get a lot of complaints about those. We have to go, and there's a lot of time to manage and do the follow-up, work with our prosecuting attorney on those cases if they don't get abated. So there's that aspect as well. So there's plenty to do.
Yeah.
Plenty to do.
That was my concern, was is one person going to be able to handle all that? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm confident that one person could handle it based off what we've seen. So of course we'll evaluate as the program goes on, and sure.
Good questions. Any other comments, questions for?
If we would need help, is that something we could go out and contract with somebody for a short period of time rather than trying to hire a half person?
Yes, we definitely can do that. There are a few companies out there that do it. I know a few, I won't get into the weeds, I guess, on that, but yeah, there's more than a few companies out there that could help us out if we actually needed to do that at some point.
Okay, thanks.
Charlie, you got the direction you need?
I believe so. Just more of an update from council. So if there's ever any questions, let me know.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Charlie.
There's nothing else, council. I'll take-
You have to receive and
Oh,
file.
I'm sorry, I missed that too. Sorry, gosh. Received and file correspondence from the January 15th and 22nd, 2021 weekly updates from the city manager, Brian Waller.
I so move.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. We got you, Greg. Hey, thanks so much. Motion passes. Then we can adjourn if we've got everything else taken care of for this evening. My apologies, council. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
See you guys.